Would you stand with me for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance? Councilman Rogers.
Let us pray. Our God, our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this day, for the blessings you give to each and every one of us here tonight. We pray tonight that you'll be with counsel and guide us as we make decisions for this city. We continue to pray for those serving the armed forces abroad, serving in harm's way. Be with them, guard them, protect them. These things we pray in Christ's name, and amen.
Amen. Councilman Bibby, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the public forum this evening, we have 3 people that have signed up to speak. Mr. Wilson, you will be first.
Good evening. My name is Lawrence Wilson. I live at 1312 10th Street. Can you hear me?
No,
Can you hear me now?
better.
Do I need to turn something up?
Just speak into the microphone.
Okay, thank you. What I want to talk about tonight briefly are going to be pay raises. And that's on the agenda, so I'm sure we're going to hear more about it before the evening ends. Now, some weeks back, some comment was made to Mr. Leach about how much had they been receiving in wage increases over an X number of years. And he was not able to come up with that information. Then later on, I think it was 2 weeks back or so, Mr. Conley somehow came up with, I believe, was a running 5-year average. And I couldn't understand where in the heck he got that from and how it was meaningful if it was an average. But that's what he had. And I went out and I spent a little time because, as some of you people think, I've got too much money and too much time and nothing to do. And I went through from 1 July 2013 through 1 July 2019 on what kind of pay raises the employees got. Now, I'm not going to go through all 2.5 pages here, but what I am going to say, as a minimum, very lowest minimum, nobody got less than this. The employees received $10,088 in pay increases. Some of them got probably closer to $15,000 when you started in some of the extra pay increases that they've received for one reason or another. Now, where I'm coming forward with this is I'm a firm believer, an absolutely firm believer in a fair compensation package for anybody, whether it's a government employee or somebody out working, driving a truck down the road. Doesn't matter, fair compensation package. We, of course, have managed to get the city way out of whack, terribly out of whack. Now, tonight, we're going to talk about at least 2 individuals out of 3 that came up previously for a $5,580 pay increase. 2 of them didn't do well, and 1 did get it. My own opinion, the one that got it, I don't understand why. Now, the human resource director did not do well. She did not get her $5,580. And I don't think that was a bad vote. She used to do typing for Mr. Rapp, to do some of his letters. That was a secretarial function. And they've since hired a part-time, I think still part-time, administrative assistant to do that. So that responsibility has come off of her. There were comments that, well, she does the health insurance. No, she does not. You yourself, sir, sat and said she doesn't do the health insurance. That's why we have Schwendeman. She doesn't know how to do it. She doesn't have time. So that is not a valid reason for a pay increase unless something has changed and since Mr. Schwendeman stood up here and gave us all of his comments. Now, the one thing she does beyond any kind of reproach, is that little quarterly newspaper where she goes in and does all the graphics. She is so good at that, it's unbelievable. Or at least in my opinion, it is, because I couldn't do it. And for that, she might deserve money as part of her salary. But she's already getting paid for all of this. So she has one function she doesn't do anymore, one function that allegedly does and has been said she doesn't do. So the question is, what is she doing to deserve that kind of a pay raise? And the truth be known, with all due respect, nothing. There's not worth another $2,000 or $3,000. She got $2,000 back in 2016 as an additional pay raise. So now we come down to your third person, your computer systems analyst. And I'm going to say, of the three people, he's probably the one that should have got the raise. If he's as good as he says he is, if he's half as good as you people say he is, he's probably worth that money. But he didn't get squat either. So tonight, hopefully, somewhere along the line, there'll be some kind of an adjustment, but I still have strong questions on the amounts and whether they're not just still a little bit high. Thank you.
Mike?
Yes, Michael Jacobs. Michael Jacobs on 10th Street. I hope not to hold you a whole 5 minutes, but I all wish you a belated happy Father's Day to every father here, and be sure to, when Mother Days come around, remember your wives. Okay. That's always a good thing to keep an atmosphere in the family in better shape. Also last month was 3 things happening: D-Day, Father's Day, and West Virginia Day. So it's always good to know West Virginia Day is a lot of famous people, Chuck Yeager, Letty Wrench, and stuff like that. Not only when you have these holidays, we should be also in remembrance of the 38 soldiers from West Virginia that died on D-Day. So, getting straight to a couple of the issues. The one issue was this fireworks they've been having. A couple of years back, I was in town, and last year I wasn't, but this year, you can see I'm already a nervous guy. And my uncle, he had shell shock, and he lived in this town with all them fireworks, he'd be staying in his basement. So, and the other thing about the fireworks, I seen one of these things they're selling is about 12 inches long projectile. If it goes up in the air, it's going to come down when somebody's out walking and they get a scratch on their head or something like that. So what they're selling there is all right with me if it's stuff they can keep in their yard. The other issue that I just wanted to mention real quickly, where I live there's a resident there that gets his water swamped out with 1 inch or 2 of water once in a while. He hadn't had it this year, but last fall he had a few inches of water there because our street doesn't have any bumper edgers there to get the water to the storm drain. The only storm drain we got is on the other side of 12th Avenue. We don't have any direct access to a storm drain on 10th Street. So I appreciate you all being here to listen to me today. And thank you so much.
Ethel? You have to talk into the microphone, please.
I know you've missed me, Randy.
I saw you recently.
I know. That's why I'm here tonight. I talked to you again about the sewer. This isn't about the pay raise, but this is about the sewer hookup that I've been wanting to get on 10th Avenue and 46th Street, and I can't get anywhere with it. And you told me you have a big job going out on Rosemar Road. What is that job, Randy?
It's not been assigned yet, but it's on Rosemar on the,
Is it Rosemar Meadows?
that's the one that's being discussed, but they've never came and approached us, so we've discussed it, but it's not official yet.
Well, I also heard that if you get it, you're not gonna be using the city employees, you're gonna sublet it?
We have no plans at all yet. The development has not come forward yet.
How much is it concerning the sewer out there
What's that, Ethel?
at Rosemar Meadows? Is this about the sewer or what?
I have no, what are you talking about?
Out at Rosemar Meadows, what's the big job?
There is no big job yet because the residents from Rosemar Meadows have not came forth yet with a plan.
Well, then what's the big job you got out on Rosemar Road that you told me you had, that you would not be moving the sewer hookup closer to my house this summer?
That is the plan if they come forward and we get it done.
So what are you doing, sitting and waiting? I mean, can you not do something else while you're waiting to see if you're gonna get that job done or not?
Ethel, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna get into an argument with you this
No, I
evening. If
don't
you have a
wanna argue.
comment
I
that
just
you'd
want
like to
some
make, please
answers.
make it. You've gotten bad information. I did go back and speak with our public works people about the job that you want. The information that you got was totally wrong. And so you need to go, either go to the PSC and get actually the information or something more solid, because what you're listening to is not the way it works.
Well, I just know that's the rumor, and I think it's not very good for you guys to have a rumor saying, if this is the case, that you're not going to be using the public works, our guys, to do the job, that you're gonna bring somebody else in, cause it's gonna be too big of a job. So, maybe you need to nip that in the bud before it gets all over the place. Now, the second thing is, when you were up at 53rd Street the other day and walked out the street and you found that hole, you know, when that street goes down, I could stand in it probably, it's gonna be up to my knees or more. And I told my sister, a 93-year-old sister, when you back out of your driveway, back over into the right lane, cause it's gonna be the left lane that's gonna go down. And it's gonna total her car out, and not only that, but she's liable to have a heart attack. Is there any way you can get the guys up there to fix that?
We'll take a look at it, but the hole that you're referring to is not the size of a golf ball.
Hey, but how
Okay.
deep is it? How deep is it, Randy?
We'll take a look at it, Ethel.
Do you have a camera that can go down in there and look, see how deep it is?
Absolutely.
Well, maybe you should do that then, because like I said, I take care of my sister some, and I don't want her having a heart attack if she backs out of that driveway and her front wheel goes down in a hole big enough to bury her in it.
If you can put that tire in the size of a golf ball,
Hey, Randy, it's
Okay.
not the golf ball hole I'm worried about. I'm worried about the big piece out there that's already been patched, that's just hanging in there.
we'll take a look at it, Ethel.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm gonna keep an eye on it, cause I do worry about her.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I wanna know, I just wanna know what's going on. But, are you not going to move the hookup closer to my house on 10th Avenue then this summer, like you and Matt said a year or so ago? From over there at the old 7-Eleven?
No, ma'am, that would be the information that you're getting. You need to check on how that works.
Well, now, Randy, no. You and Matt met Glenn and I at my house that day,
Yes, ma'am.
and you said it's gonna cost me $10,000 to hook up to the sewer. Well, there's no way that I'm gonna pay $10,000. I'll set a pot in the front yard and let my renters use it first. I am not paying $10,000. And from what I understand, and you said you do not deal with the public commissioners, utility commissioners in Charleston. But what I understand is I should only have to pay for the parts.
Yeah, and see, that's where you're mistaken. So the information that you're getting is not true. Your house is outside the
Somebody's
city
reading the wrong
limits.
book.
Your house is outside the city limits,
Exactly.
okay?
So it's a 7-Eleven, isn't it?
Yes,
The
ma'am.
old 7-Eleven.
Yes.
So what's the big deal?
I have no idea. I don't know why you're referring to the 7-Eleven.
Well, it used to be a 7-Eleven. It used to be the Xerox people owned it too.
Yes.
And I figured most people would know where I'm talking about if I call it the old 7-Eleven. So, but I'm just wanting to know, because you did say, and you and Matt said, well, we're gonna be moving it up closer to your place and it won't cost you as much in about a year or so. Well, it's been over a year. That's why I approached you the other day. And you said, well, we can't do it this year because we got a big job out on Rosemar Road. Now, those were your words, and those came out of your mouth, nobody else's.
And that's true, but the discussion that we had a year ago,
Right.
they never came forward with the plan to do the extension on Rosemar Road. They've recently came back and said that they would like to do it again. So at that point, we informed them that you must ask in writing what it is that you want. They have not submitted that to us yet. I cannot do anything until there's a formal request for a sewer extension. All right? Now, whatever the costs are for that sewer extension, there is a formula that you take all of the residents that will be affected by that sewer extension and you divide the amount of money that would be paid by those residents into a 60-month period, and that goes against the cost. All right? The extension that you're asking for is for one house. That's yours.
Right.
Okay? So that's the reason why you would have to pay the bulk of the cost to bore underneath 46th Street to tie into the sewer main on the other side of the road.
Okay, so now I pay that amount of money and Pat, the neighbor next door, says, hey, I want to hook up to the sewer. Well, lo and behold, it's already paid for by Ethel? I don't think so. Is that what it's going to be like, Randy?
I have no idea, Ethel. Okay?
Well, can we get something on it, Randy? I would like to
You-
get the
you-
sewer hooked up one of these days. We don't need to, but I want it done because I plan on selling that property one of these days. And the younger generations thinks the sewer is like an outside toilet. They don't really know how to take care of it.
If you want the sewer extended to your house, if you will send me an email or write me a letter requesting that, then we will get you a cost estimate that what it will cost you to run that to your house.
That'll not be $10,000, so I have to borrow the money from you, Randy. All right, get the hole fixed so my sister don't fall in a hole.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for July the 11th, 2019. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the June 27th regular council meeting have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will stand approved as posted. Report of the treasurer, Councilman Leach.
Thank you, Mayor. I have before my reconciliation funds dated July 11, 2019, and reviewed the accounts that appear to be in order, and the city is fiscally sound. Will note that we have transferred the funds to the capital reserve from the excess of the budget last year, and so again, the account's in order. The city is financially sound.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda this evening under unfinished business is an ordinance on second reading, amending and reenacting certain building codes to the 2019 West Virginia State Fire Commission updates. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that the State Fire Commission Energy Rule Title 87, Series 4, 87 CSR 4, and also referred to as the State Building Code, a copy of which is attached for further reference, is hereby adopted, amended, and reenacted. I'll entertain a motion on second reading for the adoption of the ordinance amending and reenacting the Fire Commission updates.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we on second reading approve the ordinance amending and reenacting certain building codes to meet the 2019 West Virginia State Fire Commission updates. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The second item on our agenda this evening is an ordinance on second reading amending Vienna Municipal Code 521.09. It's an ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code 521.09A, subsection 5, to reflect the changes in West Virginia state law which allow for Sunday alcohol sales beginning at 10 a.m. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that as per the changes in West Virginia Code 11-16-18, 60-7-12, and 60-8-34, and 7-1-3 SS, in effect upon passage, the municipal code of the City of Vienna is hereby amended to read and be in as follows. 521.09A. No person licensed under West Virginia Code Article 60-7 or his agent, employee, or member thereof on such licensed premises shall sell, give, or dispense non-intoxicating beer, wine, or alcoholic liquors in or on any licensed premise or in any rooms directly connected therewith between the hours of 3 o'clock a.m. and 10 o'clock a.m. on any Sunday. I'll entertain a motion for the approval on second reading of the ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code to reflect the changes in West Virginia state law.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we, on second reading, approve the ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the ordinance amending Vienna Municipal Code to reflect the changes in West Virginia state law to allow for Sunday alcohol sales beginning at 10 a.m., please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-3. Mr. Skogstad, would you please explain the reason why we had to do this?
Sure. Recently in the West Virginia State Legislature changed the procedure to allow Sunday alcohol sales, the so-called brunch bill. My recollection is in the original bill that went through the legislature, it gave the counties the option, if they held an election, to allow businesses and what have you to sell alcohol on Sundays 10 a.m. The most recent statute actually changed it, and counties would now have to have an election to not have Sunday alcohol sales at 10 a.m. for brunch. So the state statute is, the position is you can have alcohol sales on Sundays at 10, which left our ordinance. Our ordinance was a little ambiguous. Part of it said that we did not have the Sunday brunch. We didn't allow for the sale of alcohol on Sundays before 10. I'm sorry, before 1. Let me try that sentence again. That we didn't allow Sunday alcohol sales before 1. But we had a reference to the state statute that said essentially that we would adopt, unless, the state adopted differently. The state adopted differently, but the reference in our statute was different than the one that the state adopted. So there was an argument that could be made that our intent was to adopt whatever the current West Virginia law was by default. So essentially by passing this, we're doing what the West Virginia State Code says, and we're taking away the ambiguity. And that's the reason.
And the City of Vienna does not have a charter, and we are bound by state code. That is what we operate under.
That's correct. The City of Vienna does not have a charter. This would apply to all cities, but yes, that's accurate.
Thank you. Under new business, the first item on our agenda this evening is the bid approval for the sale of 410 31st Street. Mr. Leach, are you going to take this one, or?
No, Mayor, I'll leave this one to you.
That's fine, okay. Sealed bids for the sale of the property located at 410 31st Street were opened on June the 5th, 2019 at 9 a.m. with the following results. William Patterson bid $61,000. West Virginia Funeral Services LLC bid $100,002. This is the former maintenance garage that sits right behind the Lambert Tapman Funeral Home. For council's information, I have here the appraisal of real estate that was done by Dean Schwartz Appraisals. It was done on February the 28th, 2019. In Mr. Schwartz appraisal, he appraised the value of that piece of property contingent on a roof inspection, which he did not have done. I have had the roof inspected. The repairs for the roof total almost $45,000. It's $44,800 to repair the roof. This structure also has some of the main beams where it attaches to the floor have got significant damage to them. So that is the condition that the building was in. The building was appraised by Mr. Schwartz for $220,000. When you subtract the cost of the roof repair and the extensive damage that there is to the main beams, that is the situation that we are looking at with the sale of that building. Having said that, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bid from the West Virginia Funeral Services LLC in the amount of $100,002.
So moved.
I'm sorry,
First, second.
are you seconding?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the high bid for the sale of the 410 31st Street property for $100,002. Is there any further discussion?
He
Here-
said that he took into consideration, or did not take into consideration the cost of the roof repair, which was roughly 45. And I'm assuming it's probably because, he was not able to get on the roof. But the damage to the beams that you're talking about at the floor level, would he not have taken that into consideration as part of his $220,000 appraisal?
It's not noted in there, Roger. But I did take pictures of the damage on the beams. I believe I shared those with you. It is significant, okay? But,
That's a pole building, right?
correct, yes. And the 8x8s are set in concrete, okay? So it would, if we retain the building, then we're going to have to put a roof on it and we're going to have to improve the, main support beams. So, all right, it's whatever you choose.
I kind of feel that even if we would retain it and put it out for bid again, probably not much would change in the responses.
I don't think so. Okay?
Yeah, I think our high bid is from, the most interested property
Right.
owner.
And
And adjacent owner, so,
there's more value to them than anybody.
okay. Any further discussion? Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the high bid from West Virginia Funeral Services LLC for $100,002, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is a bid approval from the Parks Department for the mini excavator and trailer.
Mayor, we received budget and finance bids from, and let me get this open. They were open on July 1st, 2019. Bid recommendation sealed bids for the purchase of the mini excavator and trailer for the Parks Department were opened July 1 at 10:15 a.m. with the following results. Walker Machinery, $77,555. State Equipment Company, $64,769. After careful review of the proposals, a recommendation for council from the Budget and Finance Committee for the purchase of the mini excavator and trailer is the bid from State Equipment for $64,769. This project will be funded by the city's 2019-2020 general fund budget pending council approval.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from State Equipment in the amount of $64,769 for a mini excavator and trailer for the Parks Department.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from State Equipment for $64,769. Is there any discussion?
I assume that the equipment from Walker being a CAT and state equipment is what?
Kubota.
Kubota.
I am correct on that, aren't I, Steve? Mr. Black did check the qualifications out and was fine with the selection of the Kubota piece of equipment. Any further discussion? And I'll call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the low bid from State Equipment for $64,769, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is a bid approval from the Parks Department for playground pieces.
Yes, Mayor, on the same date, 7/1/2019, sealed bids for the purchase of playground equipment was opened, and with the following results, we had one bid from Davis Athletics. The total bid was $22,896. After review of the proposals, the recommendation for council approval from Budget and Finance is to approve the bid for the Parks playground equipment from Davis Athletics, and funding this project is from the 2019-2020 general fund budget.
Steve, do you have the list of playground pieces with you? Would you just show them up there, please? That'll make it easier, if you can fit it under the Elmo.
I don't know how to make it smaller.
On the end, the gray thing, just twist the, there you go. There you go.
That's an ADA accessible playground piece. That's the first. The next is a surfboard on springs, and actually the weight capacity on this thing is 250 pounds. And I will say, every one of these playground pieces come with safety certificates. The next is a spider net for climbing. Up at the top, it's about 6 foot tall from the base. Every one of these things will also be, as required by the manufacturer, in 18 inches of mulch. Next is a double rock climber. It's about 6 feet high, and I think it's 10 or 11 feet in length. And you can see the kids, it doesn't matter what we put over there, they climb on it. So that's why we're going the climbing route. And this is just like swing set. Oops, wrong way, sorry. Swing set over at Spencer Park. There we go. With the bigger swings and the children's swings. And that's going to replace one that is in dire need. So those are the 5 playground pieces.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
And these are going to Jackson, is that correct? In Jackson? Jackson Park?
Yes.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the sealed bid of $22,896 for the various pieces of playground equipment.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Davis Athletics for $22,896. Is there any discussion?
Steve, are these installed by Davis or our people?
Davis will be installing.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the playground equipment, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item this evening is a general fund budget revision number 1. Mr. Leach, are you taking this one also?
Yes, so general fund revision budget number 1 is transfer from other funds, move $99,396 from capital reserve, and the majority of this are carryovers from the 18-19 budget. The first is for the virtualization plan, and the current budget is 84, increased by 60,000. to 144,800. The next, and that's for the IT department for the Zerker system. I think I said that's correct, right? Yes. And the second item is again carryover for the playground equipment. That's part of what we just reviewed for the Parks Department. The third is again for the playground equipment, and that increase. I'm sorry. The first that increases by $2,896 to $96,288. Again, the Parks Department buildings and grounds carryover for the new shelter that was approved in that budget year. Originally $28,000, increased by $16,000 to $44,000. And then the last is the capital outlay for the match for the buildings for the adult playground. Originally current budget $44,000. That increased $13,430 to $57,430. The total outlay is decreased by $13,430 with the transfer from capital reserve.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of general fund budget revision number 1.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve general fund budget revision number 1. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of general fund budget revision number 1, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is a resolution increasing the annual salaries for the position of HR Director. Mr. Clegg sent an email and he has asked to be removed from the salary increase consideration.
Your Honor, Your Honor, Mayor, I'm just been in court. I'd move that we go in executive session regarding these personnel matters before we consider this motion.
We have a motion to go in executive session. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All right, all those opposed? Let the record reflect we went into executive session at 7:37.
Maybe next budget we'll put armrest on there. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Let the record reflect, we came back into session at 7:52, that no decisions were made. It was informational only. The resolution as it's presented this evening on the agenda, I'd like to read the resolution. Once the resolution's been read, then we will open it for discussion, and whatever points you care to bring out can be done at that time. Is that reasonable? Okay?
Yes.
It's a resolution to increase the annual salary for the positions of Human Resources Director and IT Specialist. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that the salaries for the positions of Human Resource Director and IT Specialist are hereby increased by $2,148 each per year, effective upon passage. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the resolution.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution. Discussion, please.
I'd like to start with this, Mayor. So first of all, I want to note a little bit of explanation here. Number one, I put this this resolution forward for consideration for council this evening. And the reason that I did it, when we considered these pay raises for these 3 employees, 2 department heads and an hourly employee in the last session, Kathy Smith made the point that the amount of $3,500 plus the 65 cents across the board raise that all employees received was not budgeted. Also, I made the point in the last meeting that I felt that these 3 employees had been singled out above the raise for city employees that was considered and approved, and that information was put forth by the administration. So what I proposed is let's resubmit this for the amount that was budgeted, and that meant they did receive the 65 cent with the 35 cent across the board raise, which equated to $1. And then that 3,500 was going to be on top of that. And so what I'm proposing is that we reduce the $3,500 raise to reflect the deduction of the 65 cents that they've already received, and I believe that brings it to $21.48. And so that's what I'm suggesting. Like I said, an issue was made on the budget. Also, Councilman Bibby had made the point that he felt that maybe it was a little bit high. I think that these department heads that are being considered for these raises have earned it, and so that's my reasons for putting it forward for council consideration. Again, it is different than what was considered and rejected in the last council meeting.
My input is this. It's you know, it goes back to the whole start of last budget. We did the across the board wages. I'm not for those. I know a couple of people spoke against that also. So across the board wages aren't effective, I don't think, as far as, you know, rewarding your employees who work hard and things like that. So, but I think with these people that are asking for wages, I think they do a great job. You know, they do a great job. But I think my whole thing is, when you sign up for a job, you know your salary. You know, if you take it or leave it. They've accepted these positions, and to pick out a couple people to get a raise when not really any additional duties have been added. I know Stephanie or the HR is over another person now, but to give a raise to 3 people out of 81 employees, I think about the ride I took with Steve Black's guy, the guy who takes care of McDonough Park. Yes, I mean, there's one guy that takes care of that park. You know, why not pick him out? Because he takes pride in his work. And I'm sure there's other employees like that. But to randomly pick 3 people to receive a raise, or one of them got it, but the other 2, like I say, do a good job. But I think when you sign up for a job, this is your job. You know what you're getting into. But to come back later and ask for more money, I'm just not a fan of that, so I'll vote against it.
Could you clarify something for me, Mike?
Yes, sir.
When you started your discussion a minute ago, you said that you were in favor of merit raises, but yet at the end of your conversation, you said that you disagree with being salary raised for a good job, or whatever you want to call it. I don't understand the difference in what you're saying. You say that we gave everybody a pay raise and you're against that, but in this situation, you're wanting to pick out certain employees and give them a raise? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say anything about salary. Well, I don't think salary ever came out of my mouth.
Salary doesn't make it, and if
You're the one that brought up salary. I'm
Okay,
just saying.
so
I'm
let's
against
not talk
this.
about salaries and the pay raise.
You're the one that brought it up, Randy. I'm just saying, I'm against this, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts. To pick 3 people out, to pick these people out and not reward other people, I'm just against it. And like I say, the whole thing goes back to my original statement about you can't do across-the-board wages for everyone. We did it last year. We did it again this year. Next year, probably the same thing. So I'm just against those things, and it takes away the evaluation part of people doing their work. I mean, why we do evaluations, everybody's going to get the same rates. So, end of discussion. That's all I need to explain myself. That's just how I feel. I'm one vote.
You're taking this wrong, Mike. I asked for just a clarification. You are against across-the-board pay increases, and you would like to do it on an individual basis as on merit?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I asked, was
Correct.
just to clarify that. Okay?
That's it, yeah.
If I said salary, I didn't mean salary like salaried employees, I meant wages.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, thank you.
All right.
Okay?
And my question is, and it seems like we're beating a dead horse here because these are things that we keep talking about over and over and over again. The types of raises that we're talking about just can't be sustained. You're talking about one situation here. I'm not going to use names, but I mean, it's documented here that one of the 3, 2 years ago, got a $2,000 raise over and above the standard raise. Last year, the employees got a total of $1, which includes the 35 cents that's mandated by ordinance. This year, those employees got that same dollar again, and we're coming back and we're asking for more. You know, at some point in time, there's going to come a day, you know, I don't know how long you guys, Councilman Elam, Councilman Bibby, Mr. Rogers, I don't know how long you guys plan on being on this council, but at some point in time, somebody sitting up here on this council is going to have to make some tough decisions because of what's happening. We're going to have to make tough decisions because the pay raises keep going on in spite of the insurance. And I want to bring this pie chart up again that Mr. Wilson spoke of because I think it's very relevant. And the thing that I'm not sure he understood was this is based on an average of an employee with just 1 to 5 years of tenure. The longer term employees is much greater than this. But if we can't keep doing the raises and we can't keep doing the insurance, we're kicking a can down the road that somewhere is going to bite us. And it's going to end up being the same situation as the water and the sewer rate increases. Instead of taking care of this a little bit at a time, we're going to kick it down the road, and we're going to kick it down the road. And I know, Mayor, you had an issue with me using that terminology there a couple meetings ago, but I still say we're kicking the can down the road. Our insurance right now, it's $10.96 an hour average on top of the rate of pay. We talk about a total compensation package. I've heard that over and over and over again. Folks, this is the total compensation package. And we're talking about, again, the average, meaning an employee that just has 1 to 5 years of tenure, and this being their average. The average is $76,790 annually for $36.92 an hour. We have got to stop it. We can't continue doing this. Somebody, and I'm repeating myself, I apologize, somebody down the road is going to have to pay the piper for what we are doing up here. And it may be some of you sitting here that's going to have to make those tough decisions. But folks, I'm telling you, those tough decisions are going to come. And therefore, I am with Councilman Elam. I cannot support this.
Mr. Conley, I attended a meeting this morning in Charleston with representatives from almost every city in the state of West Virginia. And one of the biggest complaints that was presented at that meeting today was the fact that every project that's bid out, there's usually one bidder if they can get a construction company to bid on these projects. The problem with that is, because of the oil and gas industry, the available employees that are out there in the job pool is very slim. And these companies that do the construction work on these projects don't have enough employees to where they can actually bid on these projects. We're no different. The same thing is happening everywhere. Because of the oil and gas industry and the incredible amount of money that they pay these people to go to work for them, working for an oil and gas company, driving one of the water trucks, you can easily make six figures as a 21, 22-year-old man with a CDL license. The situation that we ran into this year was kind of a balancing situation, because with all of the other police departments getting pay raises and the city of Vienna being the lowest paid police department in the valley, and even with the pay raise that was given, we're still the lowest paid police department in the valley. It was one of those situations where, you know, all these employees know exactly what everybody else gets. They talk among themselves. They know how these things work. And so the employees that we have that have years of experience are valuable. Every one of these people come to work and do a good job. And the way that your crew becomes so good working together is by working together. And so the numbers that you've put forth tonight, I agree with you. They are the true numbers, okay? But the fact of the matter is, there's not a lot of replacements out there to choose from, and the experience that these employees bring, no matter what job they're in, is very valuable to the city of Vienna. So I understand what you're saying. I just happen to know that when you can go to McDonald's and get a job starting out for more money than we start our employees, that's a very difficult situation to combat. And so, yes, the wages are going up all over the valley. It's a fact. There just aren't that many people that are looking for jobs. So, but I'm not disagreeing with your numbers, okay? When you add them together, you know, I'm pretty sure that you're accurate. But I just know that there's not a lot of choices to choose from because there are so many jobs out there right now.
But don't you think it's a bit misleading to state that McDonald's are starting people out more than our employees? I mean, that's ridiculous, Mayor.
No, it's not.
What are we starting our employees out at?
Slightly over $10 an hour.
Okay. In what, so we're starting what capacity?
If you come in as well, Stephanie's not here, and I don't want to quote the
Okay.
numbers, but I know that, I'll get you the numbers, okay? That's the deal. Now, I have no idea what benefits that they pay or anything else, but it's kind of an embarrassment.
Well,
Okay.
but at the same time, I'm looking at a 1 to 5 year employee here that's.
Well, but you picked an average, okay? So,
With
all right.
new employees,
Well,
with no tenure.
I'm just
I
telling
mean, I'm
you,
not looking
okay?
at a 15 or a 20-year
Well,
employee.
you're
This is
adding
1
all
to
the
5
benefits
years.
that go
Well,
along
of course
with
I
it.
am. That's
Yeah.
part of the total compensation package that
Sure,
everybody kept
absolutely.
talking about over the last
Yeah.
several months. And,
Yes.
you know, and I understand, trust me, I understand fully well what you're talking about with the oil and gas industry. I mean, I work with those guys daily. You know, I've got, and it's very up and down. It's like flipping a switch. You know, I've got a friend, a customer that just parked 100 trucks and laid off 100 employees. Those guys are right now looking for any kind of a job that they can get.
That's
So,
the
you know,
risk you take.
Absolutely, it is absolutely a risk you take. But I guess my point is, you know, when I talk to potential employees, you know, I talk about the longevity of a potential job, just like I think we would have with the city of Vienna. You know, I think that's a selling point, that, you know, we're not going to be like the oil and gas industry, that we're going to be up, that we're going to be down, that, you know, very, very possibly in 6 months you're going to be out of a job. So, you know, those are all things that also have to be looked at. But I think based on everything that I see with our employee packages, I think we're being very fair.
Okay.
One brief, unless someone else. So, to your comment, for example, if you drive down Grand Central, Chick-fil-A has their billboard, we start you at $12 an hour, okay? It's on Grand Central. You're right, the benefit package here obviously is a big attraction for the city of Vienna, and it's a reason that we have the people. But the longevity that you're talking about, the ability to deliver consistent services, I'm not shocked by the numbers you're talking about, Roger, as far as a total wage and benefit package for a city employee of the quality of the city of Vienna. You know, and as far as kicking the can down the road, you know, I mean, I review every month our financials. You know, we've just seen the announcements by Governor Justice of the surpluses that are being generated in the state of West Virginia, the discussions about raises for state employees and so forth. And we do have to compete with that. And you're right. You know, I know how these pipeliner job works too. And as far as also on the well pads, the water bottles and all of that. But when you say somebody's, you know, well, look, we can put you to work and you'll go 6 months and you'll make, you know, way better than a year's wage. And they'll say, heck, I'll take 6 months off, because it is cyclical, but they do get picked back up. And that's going to do nothing but grow. So, but finally, we're talking about two department heads here. Or we're talking about the leadership of our city. We're talking about $1.03 in addition to the 35 cents and the 60 cents. So about the same raise that the police officers got for two of our department heads. And we do need to retain that longevity, and these people do make contributions, and it is merit-based. These were not, I know that Adam is, that the IT department had talked about, I'd like to be considered. Of course, this is far short of what he had requested, but it does reflect the contribution that he makes, and that, and so I think that, you know, consider that they are reasonable. And again, finally, when you talk about kicking this can down the road and this total compensation plan, you know, we've seen other cities do these wage studies, and you know, and that's something that we could potentially look into, both with respect, because I'm not opposed to looking at, you know, what kind of an impact does it have in a city of our size when we have 80 employees that we do across the board raises. And you keep mentioning the two of the last 2 years, but just historically in listening, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's many, many years those raises did not incur for our city employees, correct? And I mean, there's many years they went without them. So if we have a couple of good years and reward them, so all in all, two department heads, we're talking about $1.03 in addition to the dollar that they got, 35 cents and 65 cents, and I do support that.
Mr. Black used to prepare a form in our budget packet every year that listed a historical record of all the pay raises for, how many years did you go back, Steve?
That's when I started, so it would have been 98.
Okay, so 20 years, he could tell you every year and every amount that was given for pay raises. I will try to get that updated so you'll have that. Steve, I know, Steve, it should be within 2 years current. My last comment was, I got a better example than McDonald's, Roger. I don't know if you saw the wanted ad that was in the newspaper for the Hobby Lobby. It is incredible, the package that they put forth. I believe the starting wage was $15.70 plus benefits, plus time off, plus a 401k, and that's for a employee of the Hobby Lobby. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of competition out there for employees right now. So, and I'm glad. I like, that's what keeps our economy going, keeps our family strong. But at any rate, that's just a comparison. I know they're way above what our starting rate is. So, all right. I'll call for the question then. All those in favor of the resolution to increase the annual salary for the position of Human Resource Director and IT Specialist in the amount of $2,148, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? All right, that carries that. The next item on our agenda this evening is a safety review for city employees. I asked to have this put on there because I wanted to talk about the process that the city does for doing safety reviews for its employees. About 2.5 years ago, Brick Street, who is our workman's comp carrier, sent a word to the city that in order to keep our rates in line, that we needed to do safety training for our employees. At that time, Stephanie reached out to a training company, and we now do monthly safety meetings for all of our employees. This gentleman comes in and he shows videos where he talks about all of the safety procedures and OSHA requirements and things like that. And then he does a review of the facilities, walking around, making notes if there's extension cord on the ground or some kind of an unsafe condition. We seem to have had a rash recently of employee issues with driving, and so safety for me is something that cannot be compromised. So I pulled the fellows in and had a safety pause with them, explaining to them that, these things come in cycles, and when these things start to happen, it throws up a red flag for me because they're not paying enough attention, or things that are going on. We drive large trucks in the city, and so we had a safety pause to try to remind our employees that, one, you need to be aware at all times of what you're doing, and then go through the safety requirements. Don't text and drive, pay attention, all the other things. Don't eat while you're driving, just as a reminder of the safety that we expect of them. And so that is the safety review that is ongoing with our employees. It seems to be well received, and I know that the company that comes in and does it for us has done an excellent job of keeping all of our employees up to date on the new OSHA requirements, as well as us. But that is something that will not be compromised, and that is the way that we not only interact with the public, but the way that we operate equipment in situations, so that we maintain the health and welfare of our employees. So I wanted to review that with you all, so that you would understand that we do make a good effort to keep everyone safe, and that that is something that we're very vigilant about every day. Okay? All right. The last item on our agenda this evening is a resolution to change the position of the City of Vienna Economic Development Director from a full-time position to a part-time position. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that it hereby reclassifies the position of Vienna Economic Development Director from full-time to part-time as defined by the Vienna Employee Personnel Policy. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of this resolution.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the resolution to change the position from full-time to part-time. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, it says as defined. What does that mean? What is the defined method of a part-time employee? Certain amount of hours without benefits? Can you
Correct.
elaborate on that just a little bit, please?
I cannot. Stephanie is in charge of the personnel manual. It is clearly defined what a full-time and a part-time employee is.
I'm a little bit disappointed, since that's what we're here to talk about, and we don't have someone here to help us with those. I mean, that's another example. I'm sorry.
Perhaps if you would have asked the question before we get into council, Roger, that's a very easily defined answer.
That's a
Mr.
very easy
Stogstad, I see you're
cop-out, too. I'm
researching your.
sorry.
I was going to try to pull my copy of the personnel manual. My recollection is the definition is full-time employees are entitled to full benefits. Part-time employees are not. It's an hourly, and I honestly can't remember the number of hours. It's 40 hours is obviously full-time. I'm a part-time employee. I don't get benefits. So what you're doing is just moving to the same classification as me.
I believe it's 30. I don't want to guess. It's clearly defined what a full-time, part-time employee is. All right.
So
Are there
if this-
any other questions?
If this doesn't pass, this position stays full-time. Is that what we're saying?
It would stay as it was created. Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was a little bit curious, and maybe Russ, maybe you can allude to this. And the reading of the resolution, Mayor, may have answered it, but for this particular position, does it actually require a resolution to make that change?
You're changing the job description.
Yes, you have a full-time position that you've created. I guess the other way that you could do it is at budget time. You could allocate half of the money that you have already allocated to it. Nobody's going to.
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're changing the job description, Roger. Okay.
So as far as coming up with the salary and stuff like this for that job, who's responsible? Is that the finance or?
It's in the budget when the budget was submitted. It's in that payroll line item.
So it'll
But that
be-
was based on a full-time
Correct.
position. Mike, are you asking if it passes and becomes a part-time
Right.
job, then setting that salary, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
It's the budget for what the former one made, so this part-time person, are they gonna make what the former one made?
I would not assume that. If it's a part-time position, you would assume it'd be prorated,
I just wanna make sure. That's,
you know.
And part-time positions can't exceed 30 hours a week. So you couldn't require the person to come in and work more than 30 hours a week.
Okay, so I guess I'll go last. You know, I gave you these numbers 2 weeks ago, and I told you that the city had done approximately $23 million worth of building permits. And then when the year was closed out, July 1, that number actually came in over $24 million. 2 years ago, the city of Vienna did $6 million in building permits, and it's now increased to 24. There is incredible growth in the city of Vienna, and Mr. Conley keeps referring to kicking things down the road and kicking the can down the road and all those issues. And I can tell you right now, things are really great in the city of Vienna right now. If you do not keep after every opportunity that presents itself, we are not going to maintain the growth that we have had over the last 3 years. You know, we have the mall expansion going. We've got the Hobby Lobby opening. We've got Big Lots. We've got other plans already on that are simply waiting to get started. Things are amazing. And when you compare us to other cities in the state of West Virginia and Ohio, we are experiencing incredible growth. And so the only way that you can continue to grow is to not sit on your laurels, is to go out and get in to every discussion that's being held with whatever development is being talked about. I know that Mr. Conley feels like this is my job, and if I told you all of the things that I serve on and all the things that I'm a member of, you would be amazed, because I go to meetings several nights a week, every week, and I go during the day. I went to a water quality meeting today in Charleston. It's just amazing, all of the things that Vienna is now part of the discussion in. That does not happen overnight. It does not happen by chance. It happens because you work at it. The fact that Mr. Thornton was here and Mr. Thornton knew everybody and served in several leadership positions on committees around our city was an absolute benefit to the city that's very difficult to replace. I've spoken to other members of the economic development community, and they are all amazed at how well the city of Vienna does and wishes that they had that same opportunity. So I would love to see this position stay full-time, because if we ever would find another person to fill that position, I'm not sure that you'll get the quality of person that will keep us growing. If you typically, you'll get a retired person or whatever. But in my opinion, the city of Vienna, because of all of the economic growth that we've built over the last few years, in order to keep that momentum going, you need to find a way to keep that economic growth going to increase dramatically in the next 3 years. I don't know how long will it be before they finish the road behind you, Roger?
Months,
At least a year?
this portion of it, I mean, it may be a couple years before it goes all the way in through, but the section they're on right now,
Yes.
probably less than a year.
Well, I learned at that meeting that I went to Monday with the Economic Development Authority that they've approved the stoplight at the intersection of your road.
It is approved.
It is.
It is.
And so basically, this new intersection that will be over there to benefit the Hino property and all of the employees that are, entering and leaving, in addition to all of the development that should come to that area there, at your portion of that side.
I agree.
Okay? And so, it concerns me that they're going to be in competition for all of the same businesses, and they will be hungry because they have empty slots to fill. And it's my opinion that if you're not part of the discussion, then you're not part of the discussion. And so, those are the things that concern me when you talk about the future for the city of Vienna and kicking the can down the road. The only way we get left out is if we don't continue to dig every day to continue to grow the city and provide all of the benefits that our citizens have become accustomed to. So, that's it for me. I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the resolution reclassifying the position of Economic Development Director from full-time to part-time as defined by the Vienna Employee Personnel Policy, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion fails. With that, our agenda is concluded. Council comments.
Could we get an update on the Manville project, Councilman Leach? Where are we at with
I think we can,
project?
I mean, a more full discussion we should put on an agenda item, but we are, the DEP's requested, remember we have the cap on the riverside where we
Yep.
have to maintain that. Part of that pavement, I think a 50 by 100 section is kind of broken up. They want us to put a wear coat on top of that, and I think that's being done. That should conclude that. With respect to the production side, they are finishing what they're calling a remedial action evaluation to submit to DEP for the Superior sign off, and then we should be able to go right to the work plan, remedial action work plan, just like we did with the Riverside. So I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to have that done already. In fact, I tried to call Tom Rebar today, but so that's where we stand. I'm just optimistic we can get this done pretty soon.
I can add a little to that, Jim. The portion of the parking lot that we are required to pave has been marked. It should be paved next Tuesday, bearing on the weather. Once that the asphalt parking lot is overlaid, then we are officially done. As Mr. Leach said, we've remediated all the dirt. We've capped all the things that we have to cap, and that should conclude the Riverside parcel with Mr. Rebar and Mr. Leach.
With that being said, and maybe this is something we need to put on the agenda to discuss at a later date, but
That's what I was going to suggest.
okay. But
if you have a question or something.
I'm going to make a comment that maybe leads us into the agenda item, but there's still a tremendous amount of discussion about river access. Now that we've got the remediation behind us, is there a possibility of having river access? Whether that's what the citizens decide to do later or not, I don't know, but is it possible with the remediation work that we've done to have river access at that area?
You know what, and I've been waiting on this conversation. I mean,
Well, then let's make it an agenda item.
Yeah, and
And
so
I'm
that's
fine with
right.
that.
I think that we do. We,
Okay.
it's not putting the cart before the horse, so we're close to having that conversation, or I hope to anyway.
But, and I don't want to keep on this, but, there's been talk about, well, we're nearly through with the remediation part of it now, totally different side of it, about, a problem with the mussels and, just all sorts of conversations. But I
Corps of
think it's just
Engineers,
something- yes.
permits, all that kind of
Yes,
stuff.
so I think at some point in time, and sooner the better, maybe the next meeting's not the time, but we need an in-depth conversation about what we're going to do now.
Okay,
I agree.
all right.
One other comment, question. I've had a couple of calls. One lady has called me talking about feral cats on her property, talking about dogs not on leash, using her yard for a restroom. She's talking about having varmints underneath of her building that has basically destroyed her building. And I'm saying all that to say this, she mentioned that we no longer have a animal control department, which, we don't. And maybe I made the wrong comment, and if I did, I'll apologize to her for that. So, well, have you called the Humane Society? Because I believe the city of Vienna now contracts with the Humane Society to take care of is that correct, Chief? to take care of the animal control situations?
Domestic.
Well, but, well, basically what she said that she was told when she called was that they have no jurisdiction over anything that goes on in Indiana. So I was just kind of dumbfounded with the conversation and just wanted to bring it up to see where we're actually at, you know, with the animal control situation. Whether it's feral cats or dogs running loose, I don't know, but according to her, when she calls them, they say, no, we have no jurisdiction in Indiana. So that is not accurate information, correct?
Yeah, the information she obtained, I do not believe is accurate.
Okay.
Any other comments?
So basically just continue calling them if there's loose dogs running on her property, she just needs to continue calling the Humane Society.
Stipulations on what they will respond for at what times of day, and things like that, so
They're not gonna come out on the
we get that information to her.
Well, they don't let loose on weekends.
Oh, gee.
Do we have a document or anything that, I mean, I don't, you know, when they ask these questions, I don't know what to tell them. You know, I didn't know they didn't come out on weekends, or I don't know what their hours are, but, you know, I've had these calls more than once. I'm just trying to figure out how to respond to the citizens, and I just don't know.
I'll get the information for you.
If we all had that, I'm sure it would be a help. That's all I have.
Any other comments? Two announcements then. Next council meeting will be a regular council meeting scheduled for July the 25th. And this weekend will be the second Family Fun Weekend at Spencer Park. With that, meeting adjourned.